So, this is a question from a 25-year-old operations executive at a Series B e-commerce startup. So, he or she is saying that over the last 6 months, I've used automation and better systems to turn my 40-hour work week into a 15-hour one. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, I'm hitting all my KRAs, but my manager, who really likes the hustle culture, has started commenting about me not being visible enough in the office. Jeez. And being inactive on Slack. So she says that I'm using the extra 25 hours to build a micro SaaS freelance platform on the side. If I tell my manager I've optimized my role, they'll just give me more work. But if I perform busyness, I'll just be wasting more energy. So, how do I manage the perception of being a 10x employee while saving the time I need for my venture without looking like I've checked out?
My God, she's really asking for the moon, isn't it? So I think that
Honestly, a
it's
10x employer.
10x. Don't be a 10x employee. I think, Janavi, the first thing that we have to realize is that you have to understand that you're not going to do well in your job.
Yeah,
The moment you start your side hustle, right?
yeah,
I think the absolute critical aspect for her to understand is that you are going to be goaded into trying to be the best because you're part of a culture, right? You're part of a
yeah.
tribe. So
Like,
while everyone's trying to do their best, and suddenly you find yourself at odds, so there is a conflict that happens in
yeah.
mentally.
Plus,
I
they don't
think
know that you're doing this on the side, right?
they
So,
don't know, right? Yeah, they
they
don't
just
know. So
think that you're
they
checked
want.
out. Yeah,
Correct. They feel that you're checking out.
yeah,
And I think that maybe you should not really advertise the fact that you've got plenty of time in your hand. So yes, you have to look busy, but you have to look busy in a non-busy way. Now I know that's easier said than done, but the fact is that you could be focusing on doing such stuff which is maybe not on your company laptop,
yeah,
100%, but something that is working on your side gig while you're pretending to be busy. I remember when in my first job, in my first couple of months, I had zero work to do. So what I started doing was I started just doing 10,000 steps in the office. Like, yeah, it just gave people the fact that, my God, this person seems to be busy. He's just moving about from place to place. It
yeah.
kept me fit. It kept me fit till the time that real work came in. But you have to be a little performative, I think. You
Correct.
have to be
And
performative.
being at the place where everyone can see you is also very important. I'll tell you, so in where we were working in my first company, right? So the R&D people where I was supposed to be working was located in a different place, but our managers and everybody was located in another building, right?
Yeah.
Now, thankfully, because of some mismatch of the seats and everything, so I was sitting in the marketing department, and suddenly everybody started thinking that I was working more than my peers
Uh,
because they could not see those people, right? Obviously, I was busy because I was handling four different profiles. They were handling just one,
yeah.
but everybody could see that I was busy. I was
Yeah.
interacting with a lot of people. I was moving around with a lot of people. My boss could see me hustling around and all of that stuff. So I was there, right? So
Yeah.
your positioning matters a lot, where you're placed, if anybody can see you. So even if you're working even if you're working half an hour in office, make sure that the rest of the 8 hours, out of them at least 4 or 5 hours, are the ones that are spent just moving around, being visible in front of people.
Yeah, I think body language definitely matters.
Yeah,
I think that furtive glances towards your phone, or trying to figure out with a coworker that you have confided into, and whispering in corners should be completely avoided, because they
yeah,
kind of give you away, and people have this sixth sense of looking out for somebody who's not part of the tribe. So
yeah,
I think that becomes really critical. I think this is a time where you can use for research for your side gig, and
right,
maybe this is a time, so you can literally kind of compartmentalize your time at work. If you have optimized for your systems and you're doing justice for your KRAs, then the second aspect could be to use it for research, or to use it for ideation, or something like that, because
yeah,
I think that will certainly help. I also think that maybe this is a time for, since you mentioned SaaS based startups, and you know how I feel about SaaS based startups.
I'm
I
worried
think,
about this.
no, I don't know, right? Why are people doing SaaS-based startups in this day and age? So I think that this person should definitely look at whether her startup is going to be like pennies before a road roller,
Hmm.
right? So you think that you got something amazing going, but actually when you hit the marketplace, you find out that, oh my god, this is a problem. And see, this is where there is going to be a bit of friction,
Yeah.
because the moment you start building a product first before getting first contact with the marketplace, then you will end up building something in from an ivory tower, and it's quite likely that you will get positive feedback from people who love you, right? But it's quite likely that when you hit the market, you'll say, oh, I have a product which nobody is going to use.
Yeah.
And I think that especially with SaaS, which is like such a space that is
Right.
being yeah, destroyed every single day, it makes more sense for you to validate your concept in some way or the other. So maybe figure out a nice secretive way of experimenting
True.
with your startup. That's what I
Maybe
feel.
your employees can be your guinea pigs, right?
Yeah, but that will also raise
Yeah,
signals with your
I think
boss.
that's true. I mean, I think first of all, you're very right. Like you have to first figure out that whatever you're building, is it something that will eventually compensate for the salary you're making. So obviously, if your job is something that you have to keep, right, then
Yeah,
being that 10x employee and being there in the office becomes all the more critical for you. Then
yeah,
perhaps I would suggest that, rather than using that time in the office for working on your SaaS startup or whatever startup it is, use the time that you get to maybe automate more systems in office that will teach you more about automations or give you more case studies, right? Maybe it's not directly for your division if your boss is bad, right? Maybe it
yeah.
could be for some other division, maybe it could be some other use cases or something like that, right? But if you really feel that your startup or whatever it is going to get traction soon enough that you can leave your job and not do job ever again in your life, then perhaps like let go of being a 10x employee. You just need some runway, cash, time enough in office to have some runway, right? Before your startup takes off, and you don't need a 10x, need to be a 10x employee. You just need to be a 1x employee who's just an average Joe who might or might not get fired 2 years from now. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's a strategic compromise that you're making, and know
Exactly.
it
You're gonna
fully
look
well.
bad at one place, right? You
Yeah,
can't please everybody.
or you're going to look average in one place, or
Yeah,
slightly above average.
and
I
that's
also think this,
okay.
yeah, I also think this is a good place to network, like the time to
Yeah,
network.
true.
Yeah, because it's quite possible that your existing company becomes one of your first clients. I don't know about the
Or
details
your
about your,
investor also, or your investor
yeah,
also. I've
or your
seen a
investor.
I've seen a number of people in my previous gaming company who the CEO is now funding, right?
Yeah,
They started
mm,
making their games within the company. They had time, so they started
yeah,
making cables and all of that stuff, and now they've launched into their own company, and the CEO of that company is funding those people. So that's
perfect.
also a good thing, right?
Yeah, perfect. Well, I think we've sorted this lady's questions out.